Hey guys, I am so sorry that I haven't uploaded in the last 3 weeks, but they have been crazy busy. I haven't been at home, I haven't had internet, I haven't had time to film or edit, and it's just been a bit mad. But I'm here now, so it's all fine, and I've got a new video, so it's all good. Before I start this week's video, I'm going to summer in the city. I'm so excited, I cannot even describe it. I get to reunite with old friends and make new ones, and we're staying in a flat so I don't have to commute this time, and it's all gonna go well. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to be there all 3 days, so if you see me wandering around, maybe looking a bit lost or without anyone else, feel free to come and say hello. I look forward to meeting you guys and making new friends, and it's just gonna be so exciting. I'm so looking forward to it. Can you tell? I don't think you can. The problem with filming in front of a window is that the lighting is a bit temperamental, so if it goes light and dark several times, I apologise, but it's quite a cloudy day. One of the reasons I've been busy over the past few weeks is because I've spent the last fortnight commuting to London doing a work experience placement. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm very career driven. During term time, I'm emailing people looking for placements, and in holidays, I'm doing the placements and even looking for the next holiday that I have off. Some of the knowledge I'm going to share with you guys today is based around journalism and publishing, but that's because they're the two industries that I've experienced with, but a lot of the things in this video you can apply to any placement you will do because they're just general good tips, I think. I've tried, so hopefully they're useful. My first tip is to get on Twitter, and that doesn't just apply to journalism and publishing, I think it can apply to other industries as well. You'll be surprised at how many people advertise placements or even jobs on Twitter. The majority of the time, Twitter is where I found my placements, so there's definitely stuff out there. You just have to do a bit of digging and ask around and follow accounts that are relevant to your industry. For example, if you want to get into publishing, pub interns on Twitter are invaluable. You have to follow them because they publicise a load of placements and internships and jobs, and they give really good advice. My second tip is to do your research. I cannot stress this enough. You have to research the job you want to go into, the placement you're doing, the company you're doing it for, and the person that you're going to be working with. You can't expect everything to land on your plate. Unfortunately, we're not all that lucky to have things just dumped in our laps, so you need to go out and work for it. You need to Google email addresses, Google names, ask people on Twitter if they know anyone. Just ask around because people will be willing to help you. For example, if you're writing a cover letter for a certain company, tweet them and ask who to address it to. It just looks so much more professional if you have a name at the top of your cover letter rather than Dear Sir or Madam. Quick bit of CV and cover letter knowledge for you. CV needs to be concise, easy to read, because employers are not going to spend ages reading a massive paragraph because they'll get bored and they'll just put it on a different pile and won't be interested. Make sure every experience you have in your CV is linked to a skill that you can then apply in the job. If you've said that you've worked in a coffee shop for the last year, that's great. Shows that you can get a job, but what have you learnt from it? You need to show that you've learnt transferable skills that you can apply in the workplace, and that is why they'll hire you, not because you know how to make a cappuccino. In your cover letter, make sure you reference the company or a certain person that's worked there to make it more personal, and don't just send the same cover letter to every company because you'll get caught out and it won't be personal and they won't find it interesting and they won't hire you. I know it's time consuming to write different cover letters for every company, but it will be worth it when you eventually get a placement with someone. My third tip is to start at the bottom because there's no point aiming for the high flyers, and because if you don't get it, you'll probably feel really demoralised and you'll be a bit annoyed if you don't get a response. Although I managed to get a bit of the way in Cosmo, it reached a dead end and I felt really annoyed. So don't aim for the really big brands at the start. From my experience, go for the smaller magazines and the smaller independent publishers because not only are you more likely to get a placement with them, but once you get there, you might get more time with the people you're working with and they might be more happy to help you because they're a smaller company and there's not as many of them working there. If you don't get a reply from an email within a week or 2 weeks, don't feel demoralised. Just drop them another email and be like, hey, wondering if you got this one. I really want to work with you guys. Cheers, thanks. Obviously not cheers, thanks, but you know what I mean. But don't pester them, just maybe give them a follow-up email because it might have got lost in their inbox or they might have read it and forgot to reply, because I've had that in the past and they've said, oh, thanks for chasing it up. So be proactive, keep going, and don't lose faith. My next tips are for once you're on your placement. Tip number 4 is to ask questions. Now this is still something that I struggle with because I feel like it's the wrong time or I don't want to be seen as stupid, but honestly you will get so much more out of it if you ask people questions. If they've given you a job to do and you're not sure where to find a certain file or where to find the information or whatever, just ask, because if they haven't told you, you're not meant to know immediately anyway. Related to this, write everything down. Don't just rely on your brain to remember it because it's kind of a bit of a stressful environment sometimes if you're new and you're a bit worried about what you're doing. I have a work experience notebook, but it's really helpful to see what you've done, and it shows you what you've learned at the end of it. So when you're writing your CV and your cover letter, you can look back at your notes and know what you've been doing. My 6th tip is don't feel demoralised. There have been times where I've come home from a placement and a really long day in London and I've complained to my family, I felt ignored, I felt left out, I felt like I shouldn't be there, and I felt like I was a burden on the company. And sometimes I feel like I'd just be better off at home. I know it's easier said than done, but don't let it get to you. I've let it get to me before and it's got me really down and it's stopped me from enjoying the placement that I'm on. You will honestly learn something from everywhere. Even if it's learning that you don't want that particular job or don't want to work in that particular environment, it's teaching you something and it's another thing to cross off the list. My last tip is to be confident and just enjoy it. If you're walking around all grumpy and miserable because it's 9 AM on a Monday and you really don't want to be there, don't sign up in the first place. You've gone and found these places, so you need to make sure that you're on top of your game all the time, because if you're miserable and grumpy, people won't want to talk to you and they won't make an effort into making your time there enjoyable. Smile, be polite, manners go a long way, especially in the workplace. And if people say, oh, would you mind helping with this? Then go for it. Even if you think you can't do it, say yes, because if you say, oh no, not really, then they'll be like, oh, okay, great. Just say yes to everything and work that out later. If you've finished all your jobs and your person that you're shadowing still doesn't have anything for you to do, walk around the office and ask if anyone else has anything, because more often than not, they will. And when you first walk into the office on your first day, go and say hello to people and introduce yourself and ask what they do and say where you've come from, because I've made this mistake before of just going in, saying hello to the person I'm working with and going and sitting down at the work experience desk and just not really talking to anyone else because I felt too nervous. Don't be afraid of talking to people. All those people started at the same level as you. Everything will be fine. Okay? I hope these tips have helped. Obviously they're based on my experience, so if anyone has had any other experiences and they have any other advice that they have, please leave a comment in the description, because I'm sure we can all learn something from everyone. Feel free to tweet or comment if you have any other questions, because obviously I'll answer everyone and try my best to give you the best advice possible. Again, let me know in the comments if you're going to Summer in the City, because I'd love to see some of you there. I hope you're all doing well and I will see you soon. Bye!